77 bite wounds. That's how many times Diane Whipple was attacked before she bled out in her own hallway. And the two people responsible? They weren't even charged with murder at first. Tonight I'm revealing 3 dog attacks so brutal, so disturbing, that the media buried them. One involved a pregnant woman killed by her own dog. Another exposed a prison gang's secret dog-fighting empire. And the third, neighbors warned everyone for weeks, and nobody listened. But here's what makes these different from any attack you've heard about. In every single case, someone knew it was coming, and they did nothing. Let's start in France, 2019. A quiet forest called Retz. Elisa Pilarski was 29 years old, 6 months pregnant, just taking her dog for a walk. She probably thought it would be the most peaceful part of her day. She was wrong. Hours later, Elisa's body was found, clothes torn apart, covered in bite wounds so severe that investigators couldn't identify her at first. Now here's where everyone pointed fingers in the wrong direction. That same day, a hunting group was running dozens of hounds through the forest. Dozens. And immediately people assumed the worst, that the hunting pack had attacked a pregnant woman. The outrage was instant. Headlines screamed about killer hunting dogs. People demanded justice. But when forensic teams tested 67 dogs, every single hunting hound came back clean. The DNA matched only one dog, Curtis, Elisa's own dog, the one she was walking, the one she trusted. The dog that investigators later described as violent, uncontrollable, and dangerous, even after the attack. Months later, Elisa's partner was charged with involuntary manslaughter, not for attacking her himself, but for knowing his dog was dangerous and doing nothing about it. A pregnant woman, her own dog, and a partner who ignored every warning sign. But if you think that's disturbing, the next attack didn't just end in death. It exposed something far darker hiding in plain sight. San Francisco, 2001. A regular apartment building, a regular hallway. Diane Whipple was 33, a lacrosse coach, carrying groceries home. What happened next would change dog ownership laws across America. Diane turned the corner into her hallway and came face to face with Bane and Hera, 2 Presa Canario Mastiffs, each one over 100 pounds, bred for one purpose: intimidation. The attack was instant. Neighbors heard screaming echoing through the halls. They called 911, but by the time anyone could help, Diane had been bitten 77 times, 77. She bled out on the floor of her own apartment building, minutes from safety, seconds from her own door. Now here's where this story turns into something out of a crime documentary. These dogs weren't strays. They weren't rescues gone wrong. They were owned by 2 attorneys, Marjorie Knoller and Robert Knoll. And they weren't just raising these dogs as pets. They were raising them for a man named Paul Schneider, a convicted murderer and leader of the Aryan Brotherhood prison gang. Schneider was running a dog-fighting breeding operation from inside prison, and these 2 lawyers, they were his partners on the outside. People in the building had complained about the dogs being aggressive multiple times. Nothing was done. When the trial ended, Marjorie Knoller was convicted of second-degree murder, not manslaughter, not negligence, murder. She became one of the only people in American history to face murder charges for a dog attack. But even after all that, even after a pregnant woman in France and a coach in San Francisco, people still didn't learn. Because just this year, in 2025, it happened again. And this time, an entire neighborhood watched it coming, for weeks. Harare, Zimbabwe, June 2025. A neighborhood called New Bluff Hill. Samuel Machara was 39 years old, found dead near a home, his body torn apart. The killers, a pack of pit bull-type dogs that had been terrorizing the neighborhood. But here's what makes this case unforgivable. These dogs weren't just loose for one day. Neighbors had been complaining for weeks. Pets were attacked. Domestic workers were bitten. People were afraid to walk down their own street, and still, nothing was done. The owner, Mike Mupinga, had weak fences, unsocialized dogs, zero control. He was arrested and charged with culpable homicide. But for Samuel, the charges came too late. Everyone saw this attack coming, and everyone stayed silent until blood was already on the street. 3 attacks, 3 countries, 3 lives erased: Elisa, Diane, Samuel. A pregnant woman killed by the dog sleeping in her home. A coach killed by dogs raised for a prison gang. A man killed by dogs everyone knew were dangerous. And here's the truth nobody wants to admit. Dog attacks don't come out of nowhere. There are always signs: aggression, lunging, complaints that get brushed off, red flags that get ignored, until one day, someone doesn't walk away. So let me ask you this. Are these just freak accidents? Or is this what happens when people ignore the warning signs of a dangerous dog? Drop your answer in the comments. I read every single one. And if you think these attacks were brutal, there are dog breeds so dangerous that entire countries have made them illegal, banned, completely outlawed. If you want to know which ones and why governments fear them, watch this next. I'll see you there.